Good morning and welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS, with your host, Bob Pace, and hang on to your children. It's March 16th, approximately 8 in the morning, and I hope it is a beautiful day for you. In many parts of the world, we're going through a lot of turmoil. And one of the turmoils is the child protection system. That's what I call CPS, the Child Protection System. It is a system found in every state, in every county, and also in every country. And it's a government entity that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. But unfortunately, there are rogue CPSs out there that have gone bad, and they're more interested in the money than about family reunification or being fair with parents. It's a troublesome time because we need an agency to protect our children from neglect and abuse. That's what CPS is all about. And it is, in a lot of places, a good system, but a lot of places it's not. And unfortunately, it's affected thousands of people from around the world. As I mentioned, 1,000 people. I've talked to over 1,000 people. I started in October of 2023, and I've been doing this now for 17 months. And I met a lot of beautiful people. And I know you're here for one thing, to learn about how to take care of your family and how I can help you. Now it's good morning, Felicia. It's so good to see you. Felicia is Cruel from Ventura, California. And then we have Margaret King. Good morning, Margaret. So pleasant to see you too. And it's nice. It's early in the morning. And I know that it's a Sunday. It's a time that we worship the Lord. You know, it's our Sabbath day. And I know our faith in God helps us go through this troubled time. But I'm here to help you as best as I can and relate my situation of fighting CPS for 15 years and help you don't make the same mistakes that I made. So what the purpose of me here is to help you all relate to what my experiences are and to help you answer your questions about your concerns about CPS, because it's a horrible, horrible thing that you're in. It's a horrible, horrible thing you're in. And it's an up and down feeling. It's very emotional because they're your children out there. Your family is pulled apart, taken apart, and misled, misguided by an agency that you believe, the government. You know, that's the hardest thing is we supposedly believe in the government. The government is supposed to protect us and our families. But unfortunately, some of us have encountered bad child protection systems. Now, there's many names that they're called. I know in California, someone says the Child Protection Services. Other ones say Department of Children and Family Services. In Arizona's Department of Children's Services. Even in Richmond, Kentucky, it's the cabinet. Whatever it is, I just call it CPS, Child Protection System. That's what it pertains to. Now, Cruel, it says that her petition for review in the California Supreme Court must be filed between the 31st and the 40th day following the date that the appellate publishes opinion on appeal. Okay, I'm glad you're up on top of that. How are you with that time frame, the 34th and the 40th? That doesn't give you, wow, 31st, that gives you 9 days to file an opinion on an appeal. Now, you're really going a far way, Felicia. But Felicia's going to the Supreme Court. She's tried to fight her battle locally. She's trying to fight her battle locally. If I'm not mistaken, Margaret's coming down to see Vincent Davis this week. I think she's coming to see him. And Felicia says, I've been downloading rules of the court that I found to be relative to her case. Okay. And Cruel, can you kind of tell us, maybe in a sentence or two, what you're trying to convey to the court so that people that don't know you can understand what you're trying to say? Now, there are 4 ways that you can interact with this live stream. One is just by finding me, and you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. Another way is that you can take notes, send emojis. That's like thumbs up, smiley faces. You can send me stars, and you can check me if you want to follow me. I appreciate if you did. And also, if you want to be notified when I'm live, it'll let you know too. I know that Margaret and Felicia, who is Cruel here, know exactly when I'm going to be on and stuff because they've been following me. They were on last night. And so I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, I'm on at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's the West Coast of California. Then on the weekend, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. Then all 7 days in the evening, I'm on at 10 o'clock. So that's twice a day that I'm here, and I've been doing this regularly, day after day, week after week, month after month, even year after year. That's 17 months. I've missed a date yet. And so that's twice a day, 14 times a week. So I'm here to help you all with your questions, with your concerns, because there are bad CPSs out there. Not all of them are good. Not all of them are good. Now, Cruel says, I still haven't received the transcripts from my attorney that she said sent over a week ago. The mailbox lock is still a mystery. Well, you may have to ask your attorney to send it again. Or you may have to get yourself a post office box or have your post office hold the mail. They'll hold the mail for free. I think they'll do that for 30 days and you go by and pick it up. That is really terrible because you need that information. Now, the basis for the appeal on the decision by a county judge to follow SW recommendations to and reunification services. Okay. I argue the judge abused his decision when the court denied my 3-8 petition on its face because no prima facie was seen to be made. Further, she said, both my trial and appellate court appointed attorneys checked out for my case as soon as they could. So I'm staying alone in preparing my petition to the court. You should not be alone. And Felicia, you should go to the clerk of the court, or not necessarily the clerk. You should go to the court-appointed judge department of the court and ask for a new court-appointed attorney. If you're going to use court-appointed attorneys, you need to make them work for you. You have to have representation. It's the law. You called the post office and they said there's been no mail holes. Well, okay. Then where's your mail? Then my question is that what you have to do is contact the attorney and ask for him to resend it out again. But you yourself can make a hold on your mail if you don't trust the mailbox anymore. Yeah, I know you live in Ventura, and the courthouse is in Sacramento because you're going to the Supreme Court of California. You have to have someone fighting your case there, I would think, at Supreme Court, but maybe they just read it, review it, and send it back, and they do it there. So if you present it, they're going through the appellate part in Sacramento. You're right. They don't have it done in where they argue in court. They read what you said, and then they take action on what you said. So your court-appointed attorney is right about that. Now, Margaret says, is the appellate court the same as the Supreme Court? Good question. I think the appellate court is a part of the Supreme Court. Let me see if my computer will let me ask a question. It says that the appellate court is not the same as the Supreme Court. Rather, the Supreme Court is the highest court in a state or the federal system. It can review decisions made by appellate courts. Let's see what else it says. The appellate courts review decisions made by lower courts, trial courts, to ensure the law was correctly applied and the proceedings were fair. So that's what they're going to look at your case. Now, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the state or the United States, and it can review cases from appellate courts when there are questions of constitutional or federal law. The federal court system has three main levels: the district courts, which are trial courts, the circuit courts, which are the appellate courts, and the Supreme Court, which is the final level of appeal. The state court system, many states also have a similar structure with trial courts, appellate courts, and Supreme Courts. For instance, in California, the Supreme Court or the superior courts, not supreme, but the superior courts are the lowest level of state courts, followed by the California Court of Appeals and then the California Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the state. Now, the Supreme Court reviews cases decided by the Supreme Court. So does that kind of help you out there, Felicia? Does that help you? Your case has been briefed. Hold on one second. I'm trying to understand what you're saying there. My cursor is not participating well. I can't scroll up. Oh, brother. Margaret's is in the 5th district. I believe so all the briefing needs to be turned in by next month. Wow. I'm hoping we have to go to the Supreme Court. I just want this done and over with. I mean, I'm hoping we don't have to go to the Supreme Court. Yes. Well, after you get through, you can go to the federal court, by the way, after you got exhausted in the state courts. You can do that. So, Margaret, the appellate courts are not the same as the Supreme Court. Okay, so you got yours, Margaret, in appellate court. All right. Okay, they're affiliated. I was just reading when I looked up on the internet. I was just reading like what they looked up on the internet. So I'm just trying to help. The internet and the browser and stuff is really worth a lot of information, but you got to fill it out. The correct way of placing your words. I have my rule number 4, which says browse the internet, but it's important how you place your words. Remember, always start off with the city, the state, and if you're outside of the United States, the country. And then you follow with the letter CPS, and you'll find a wealth of information. And then you want to define that further, after CPS, you put like how do you file a 388 motion? Or what is a 388? What is a 160 hearing? What is the ICWA of 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act? So that's pretty much how you research on the internet. Um, it's a hard thing that you're going through. It's in Sacramento. It's in Sacramento, the Supreme Court is. It's always in the state capital. Thank you, Felicia Cruel. Yeah, it's Sacramento. Now, I put my number up because you can call me. Right now, I'm live at 626-698-0990. The other number, 888-888-6582, is the law office of Vincent W. Davis. There you can call in and find out when Mr. Davis is doing his live streams. You can also call and get books or guides from the office. Make sure when you call that 888-888-6582, you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. If you ever talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. I know you're scared. This is not. That's why you have to rely on an attorney. It is a scary, scary thing. And I don't know, Felicia, if you've called in, you get a free 15-minute time with Mr. Davis, a private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. And I do want you to get help. I don't know if you've done that yet or not. I know Margaret's coming down, that she's retained Mr. Davis, and she's coming down to talk to Vincent Davis. I know, Margaret. I know that. It is it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. But if you have an attorney like Mr. Davis, your stress will somehow be a lot better. I had hired him, and he worked for me for 3 years. It was a lot of money, but he got back 2 of my 3 children. And the reason why my daughter was stolen from me was retaliation by the CPS workers in the Orange County CPS system, the child protection system. There, the social worker was caught lying on the stand in court. She committed perjury, and she was so embarrassed she wanted to do retaliation. So she told his parents, "You'll never see your daughter." And she very hurtfully steered our daughter in the wrong direction. Our daughter thought that was what she was supposed to do. She's only 12 years old. And my family was in a turmoil because of what CPS did. They did not know what's going on. The one thing you're going to find out from CPS, there's no communication between the children and the parents. Meaning you can't talk about the case, so the children don't even know what they're in there for. They're told something totally different. And they were placed in a group home, in my case, that was run by Boys Town. And Boys Town is for children that don't have parents. And so the things they did or said was for children without parents. But my 3 kids had wonderful, loving parents. And we participated as much as we could by visitations. But it was wrong of what they were doing and saying. It was wrong. It was so wrong. I still, it happened to me in 2015, and they weren't returned to end of 2017. But my daughter she's now 22 years old, and she is so brainwashed and thinking that where she's at, her life is where she should be. It is sad. I just don't know how else to tell you. Um, Cruel says, I'm sorry about your baby, Margaret, and I am too. There are two little girls. One's 5 and the other's 7 months old. They're her granddaughters. They're not, it's her grandchildren. Her grandchildren. The girl parents are not ready to take care of them. I had to fight for them. And I'm so sorry that is the situation. But grandparents can get guardianship of their grandchildren. There's that book for $9.99 that Vincent recently released called, The Guide for Grandparents Step by Step of Getting Their Grandchildren in California. Now, it's offered for 50% off if you use my name, PACE, capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, 50. And you get the book for half off at $9.99. Have you got that book, Margaret? Have you got that book? Have you read that book, or what do you think about the book? Now, besides calling in, you can also text me messages like Margaret and Cruel are doing. All I ask you is that you give me um, your first name, your city, our county, and the state. And if you're from outside of the United States, your country. And then tell me as much as you can about your CPS case. What's going on with your CPS case? How it got started? What's the makeup of your family? And where are you at now? Those are the things I like to know if I can help you there. Now, Margaret says she had guardianship of the 5-year-old, and when the newborn was born, CPS took the baby first and then came to my home and took the 5-year-old also. If you had guardianship, why did they take the baby? How do I go about drafting my petition for review? That's something you have to get your attorney to do for you, Cruel. That's something you could do. You can Google that question. You put in Ventura, California, CPS, and then after that, you put, how do I go about drafting my petition for review? It will tell you. It'll tell you, Cruel. That's all you have to do there. Great. You got the book. It's great. Okay, I'm glad that you did. What are the 3 reasons that the Supreme Court would accept a case? Well, one is some type of judicial procedures were not followed. It has to be something like a judicial procedure. They won't retry the case. It isn't about retrying the case. It's about somewhere along the lines that the judicial the way it was handled, it was not handled correctly. Now, Margaret says the baby tested positive for methamphetamine, and my daughter tested negative. I don't understand that. If you have a guardianship and your baby tests one or the other, plus you're the guardian, you're the parent of one of your children that had those babies. I don't know if you're the parent of the father or the parent of the mother of the baby. Now, Mrs. G has still hasn't gotten back to me. Well, then you call the office, 888-888-6582, and tell them you want to speak to Mrs. G. Cruel, you call the office, 888-888-6582. I agree that these professionals and authorities are just so contradictory more than should be allowed. Now, Margaret says they should have given me the baby right away to, to my care since I had guardianship of the 5-year-old. They should have offered alternative measures. Well, see, it is stipulated in all CPS that the first thing, if they need to take the children away from the biological parents, their first step is they should place the baby with a family member. And that can be grandparents, can be aunts and uncles and cousins and sisters and brothers. Somebody is over the age of 18 that has a home, that has a job, that can care for the child. That's their main thing. But see, they don't get any money for doing that. The reason why they don't give it to the parents and stuff, there's no money in there. There's no money. They give it to a foster care because they get money. And I'm talking big money. $20,000 per child per month they get from the state, who in turn gets some money from the federal government. And that money, by the way, millions, I would say billions are sent to the state and millions are sent to the county because the CPS system is making trillions of dollars. Trillion. It's a $1 trillion business. Billions are given to the state and the counties get millions. It's all about money. It's very, very corrupt. Now, Margaret says her girls are in foster care with complete strangers. They didn't even speak English. And the 5-year-old was abused. I believe it. But that's where the mistake was made. I know it's complete trauma. And that is sad. That is really, really sad, Margaret. Now, I mentioned to you that you can text messages. I hope all that you're listening do so. Another way to be on my live stream is to be a guest. Be a guest on my live stream. And be a guest on my live stream, you would contact my show producer, Grace. And you write to her at Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Mm. Hmm. Mm. Mhm. Mm. Now, Margaret says her girls are in foster care with complete strangers. They didn't even speak English, and that 5-year-old was abused. Uh, she went from the hospital child to complete trauma. They were there for 7 weeks until finally they were placed with a relative. Well, weren't they placed with you? You're the relative. In all honesty, I realize they're better off with a relative, but they placed him with an unfriendly relative, which made matters worse. They knew the relative hates me, and she never cared or liked the 5-year-old. Why are they placing with that relative and not with you, Margaret? Why are they placing with that relative and not with you, Margaret? I don't understand. If you had guardianship and you're wanting to do guardianship of them, why are they picking that relative over you? That's certainly not fair. That's certainly not fair. Now, if you are a guest on my live stream or you call in, you qualify for a free 15-minute session with Vincent Davis. That's 15 minutes. You can talk to him privately on a Zoom conference call. All you have to do is call in to my number, 626-698-0990. Or you can be a guest, and I can take up to 9 of you to be a guest. And all you do is you write my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com, and you put in, I want to be on Bob's Saturday morning live stream, or I want to be Bob's Friday night live stream, or any other 7 days of the week, twice a day, morning or afternoon. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Okay. Um, it's close to it's 9 o'clock, and so I must be wrapping up my live stream. Um, Now, Margaret says they not only accusing my daughter of being an unfit mother, but they accused me of failing to protect the 5-year-old. How was the 5-year-old in danger if she did not test for drugs? How was she in danger? Also, when the CPS worker came into my home, everything was great here. There was nothing going on. My daughter wasn't even here. She was in the hospital. She had not been staying here in my house. So you are protecting your 5-year-old. So how they say you weren't protecting it? Yes, Margaret, I'd love for you to call in tonight. I really appreciate it. Margaret and Felicia, who is cruel, I'm going to have to end my live stream because it's 9 o'clock. It's after 9 o'clock. To all you listening out there, please, please do not give up. Fight for your children. Have your family taken together. And please come again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's the West Coast of California. Or tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Remember, I'm all here. I'm here for you. I want to help you. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Well, thank you, Margaret, and God bless you all. And thank you, Cruel Felicia, for Ventura and Margaret. Um, I want to thank you all. Um, God bless you, and I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. All right? Take care and have a beautiful day.